セガサターンシロ
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday, SHIRO
Hey.
Show. How you doing, Dan?
Oh, come on in. I'm good, Dave. Good to see you. It's been a while.
It has been a while. I am just glad to be alive. Glad to be here with you. Yeah, I'm still.
We're glad you're alive.
And I'm a robo Dave, like immediately.
No, I thought that was just your cold. Your cold was just making you sound a little robotic. You caught a computer virus, right?
I got a computer,
Yes, that was a lot better.
All right, yeah. First time's a charm. First second of the cast is a charm. I always.
This is my fault because I said right in chat right before the show started, no tech issues today for one.
Yeah, so
and then
I believed
so
you, I believed you.
Everyone believed me, and they shouldn't have.
Swear,
So
Dan,
I'm sorry about that.
I swear, Dan, no, I'm just kidding. How's everybody doing? I got mosquitoes eating my legs because I wore shorts and I'm in the hot garage, and that's fun. I'm still sick, but I'm doing better. I'm alive.
We're glad that you're manning it out and you're here on the show.
I locked my keys in my car today. Locked myself out of my car. But I am. I got roadside assistance, and so, you know, you gotta take your strokes, I guess, and just do the best you can. How about those Cleveland Guardians?
Oh man,
what the hell?
They are. Yeah, I don't know. I'm as surprised as you are, man.
You guys overtook the Yankees, best team in baseball right now. Yeah. Yeah,
they've been the best team in baseball a lot this season. Actually, they went on a 7-game skid there, and they kind of lost it for a couple days.
Lead. They had such a
good lead. Well, they just went on a 5-game winning streak, and they're playing again today, so they're back in first place again. So yeah, it's awesome. Really hoping that they can actually get it done this year because they have not won a championship since 1948. My own father was not alive yet. My parents were not alive.
At least you've won a championship. Padres still don't have a World Series.
Yeah, but they haven't existed. They've existed for less time, though.
Oh, yeah. Fair. Well, I mean, they started in the 60s, but still.
Right,
but still, I mean, we've been to 2 World Series and blew both.
Well, hey, the Padres aren't slouches this year either. By the way, everyone, welcome to baseball chat.
Yeah, welcome to baseball
Dave
chat.
And Dan.
Well, Dan,
but yeah, the Padres are doing good this year.
Funny enough, so Padres and Diamondbacks, Pat's team. Pat's not even a baseball fan, but he is from Arizona, so I kind of like to give him a hard time when the Diamondbacks are doing poorly. But the Diamondbacks are ahead of us. No, actually, what I should say is we both have the exact same record, and we have had the exact same record, but because of their win record against us, they're like on top of us in the division, even though we have like literally the same wins and losses, and we're the same amount of games back. And and the Dodgers, you know, I want them to lose so bad. I'm just like, lose, Dodger, you know. Well,
you know, they've got the payroll, so
they do. But I mean, like AG Preller, who's our team manager, He's made a lot of great trades. Padres look really good. It's just that everybody else looks really good. You know what I mean? Like, the Phillies are good, and the Guardians are good, and the Brewers are good this year. So there's so many good, and of course the Yankees are like always good, but they've got tons of money. So it's just like there's so many good teams. I have no idea what's going to happen because there aren't just like, you know, a ton of like shit teams right now. There's like a bunch of great teams, so it's going to be interesting to see. But
Night Dragon say stumbled into the wrong show. No, you're in the right show, Night Dragon. You were watching Baseball Chat with David. Thank you for tuning in.
It is. It's what's on my mind. I'm looking at the MLB standings like every day and going like, oh my god, we're only 2 games back. But I mean, you know, it's these are the dog days of summer, so it's exciting. Dan Trax, Pat, and me, all of our teams are relatively in it, you know, so it'll be exciting to see what happens.
Definitely very.
I will be happy. I'll be happy for the Guardians if they win because I know somebody who's a Guardians fan, so I'll be ostensibly what's going on with you?
You know, nothing. Just my day has not been as bad as yours. Hopefully, this is where your day starts getting better, Dave. Is with the SHIRO show, and hopefully, everyone else's day gets better with us here tonight. I don't know. Just been having a pretty normal week. I actually took a couple days off earlier this week, which was nice. I didn't do anything super exciting, but it was just nice to have days off and not have to sit in front of a computer at work. I work from home, but not having to like pay attention to work stuff or whatever. Like I normally wasn't gonna have anything to do at work anyway, so that's kind of when I'm able to take days off.
Right.
One thing I did was I tried out, and we're going to talk about this later in the show, but I tried out the Best of Saturn game for this week, which is Willy Wombat. And that was pretty fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that. And I also tried out another thing we're going to talk about later this week is the that Calypso sound editing homebrew. So that was kind of cool. I don't really know how to make heads or tails of it. I don't know what to really do with this. I've been just sort of playing around with it, but it was still kind of cool. So that's kind of been my Saturn. What I've been doing with my Saturn this week. I don't have any pickups, I'm afraid. We're well out of season for my beloved oranges. So I don't have any other food pickups to talk about this week either.
Right.
So have you been up to anything, Dave, besides getting better? And
so basically doing a lot of resting. My kids went back to school this week, so
that blows my mind. Like it's the middle of August. Why are kids back in school already? Like it should be another couple weeks.
Right, but it's going to be this way moving forward because it definitely is in California, and I don't know if it's going to be nationwide this way. But there's a concerted effort to get elementary schools and middle schools, high schools on the same track as like colleges. So college gets out in May. Usually with elementary school, the kids still have classes in like June, first 2 weeks of June.
Till like we're first week of June,
The past couple years, they've just been pushing it back like by a week at a time. And now it's, school started August 12th. As of this year, we'll end in May, and that'll be it. That'll be the cutoff. It'll be, and summer break will be like June and July, and then they'll be back in August. It's crazy, so... Because they're trying to like line it up with college, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. But so maybe. So I don't know. So they were back, and my son's in middle school, which is crazy to think. He's in band playing trumpet, and he's got
good instrument.
And today he gets out, and there's like a bunch of clubs. Like there's a club fair, so he has to like find out what kind of after school activities he wants to do. I think D&D is like one of them. And a bunch of other cool stuff that they got going on there. And then my daughter's in first grade, and her birthday party's tomorrow, so that's going to be fun.
Yeah, my dad's birthday party is tomorrow.
Is that right?
What a coincidence. Yeah.
So, lots of kid stuff going on this week. I've been exhausted, but as you get when you have two kids and you're schlepping them around and doing a bunch of stuff. But I got Junie some Pokemon Squishmallows to add to her collection, and she's really happy about that. That
was really cute.
Jigglypuff. I thought that was going to be hard to find, but I actually found it. I was like, oh wow, I didn't even know if they made one. I was doing a bunch of car Saturn racing games, like playing a bunch of Saturn racing games a week or so ago. I guess it wasn't like a week. It wasn't within this week, but it was a week or so ago for a video that I was working on that will go live on Monday for folks. If folks are interested in Saturn and interested, I imagine they are if they're watching this show. If they're interested in racing games, though, I did like a top 10 recommendation video kind of thing. It's very cliche as it's been done to death, but I figured, why not?
It's still fun.
Me too, I wanted to try out a new like format where I like spoke to the camera, and I was like, what would be an easy video to do? Oh, racing games, because I'm a huge racing game fan, so I figured
that's your bag.
It really is. I mean, I have other bags too. I could do one about RPGs on Saturn. I really love the RPGs, or on nights or whatever. But I mean, I love the racing games. I didn't put Sonic R in there though, because it's more like traditional driving racing games. I feel like Sonic R deserves its own video,
It's like a platformer racer.
It is. Oh, it really is. It really is. That's my stance on it, is that it's the Sonic game that we got that folks didn't realize we got, because they were all wanting just a typical Sonic game. But I actually really think that it is. It plays a little bit different. It deviates a little bit, but it's got a lot of the stuff that you would want in a Sonic game. And I think that Sonic R is a great game, highly underrated. Well, recently it's been rated, but it's been historically underrated. So, but But yeah. Oh, you know what? I forgot to welcome everybody in the chat. I should do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So to all you guys, 42 of you watching right now, perhaps a thumbs up, maybe it would be awesome. We got Analog Black Sheep. That's as far back as I can go. I know that Wiener Bob was first, but I can't scroll back any farther than Analog Black Sheep, Colin Pierce, Team Starlane. So Zenis is here. Raiden, Dave Daney. We got Pudgy there. Lee, Toast with the Most. Michael Freesh, Captain Hawden. Who else is with us? Leslie McDowell. Dragons of Saturn. Frog Bull, how's it going? Who else? Slow Coin, Double Dime. The Analog Gamer is Man of Stone. Nice. Changed his tag there. Gosh, who else? We got Albert, AM25. How's it going? Knight of Dragons here. Pierre Garot. Scotty Mo, Faux Show, Salty Dagger, and Shadow Mask. Awesome. Working late. Almost forgot about the show.
Well, I'm glad you didn't forget Shadow Mask.
Yeah,
thanks for watching. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everybody listening to this on the podcast slightly in the future. Actually, I'm not sure if are you able to like throw this on podcast platforms next week, Dave? Because Pat is probably going to be indisposed. By the way, Pat's not on the show right now this week because he is now translating Initial D for the Saturn. No, I'm just kidding. He was running late. He was helping out with some like car issues or whatever with his family. So he is going to join with audio later, I believe. So
I haven't been able to touch that. I've been so busy with everything
don't
else.
say that, Dave. I've been touting how much progress you've been making on Initial D for the last 2 weeks.
That's a shame.
You can't tell him. You've done nothing.
That is a shame. No, I've done a lot of stuff. I've been very productive. It's just stuff that people won't see unless they go to PRGE, or unless I don't know. But yeah, I will get there. We'll see. I did spend quite a bit of time playing Initial D though, just for that driving video. Got back into it. Love that game. I can't believe that like a few years ago, if you'll even hear me on the show saying it's terrible and saying that I hate
really?
it. Yeah, me and Pat saying, "Oh man, this game blows. This game sucks. It's so like it's so broken," you know. And then I just
what changed?
What changed? I figured it out. Like I figured out.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe I was just being too heavy-handed, or I was just coming at it from a, like, Sega, it should be like Sega Rally, right? You know, you should just kind of turn around a corner and automatically drift. No, that's not how it works. Like, you actually have to, tap the brake and get the rear to spin out, and then you have to counter steer through each turn, and you can totally do it.
Like Dave.
Sorry?
Oh, there's Pat.
Oh, hey, there's Pat.
I know what that's like to, take it slow from the back, have to counter steer. It's a hard process, difficult process.
It took me a while, and now it's like second nature. And so yeah, like running those courses.
Your first time will be awkward, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll.
We're glad you're on the show to make these jokes, Pat.
That's right. We've got to have.
That's what you guys pay me for.
Yeah.
We don't pay you enough. We certainly don't pay you enough.
I'm getting money from somewhere. So
Initial didn't. What? Yeah. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a Genki drifter. But what's amazing to me is that it's so different than like Tokyo Highway Battle or Drift King 97, which is also a drifting game, and it's also a really good game. It's just so different. Like they were made like back to back. They were made at the same time. So it was that game that caused me to think, well, wait a second, if they made this game and it's like so good, like, and it's so easy to play, and they made that one like back to back, how is that one trash? And I went back to it and I was like, oh, they just like designed two very, very different drifting mechanics, you know? And it was based around like the idea of Initial D is not an arcade style racer. It's like, hardcore. You got to like really get the drifting. But anyway,
exactly.
It's fun. With that, with all that said, I don't really have much else to report. So, do you want to bring up the browser since we got a ton of stuff?
Pat's
here.
What about Pat?
Yeah, go ahead, Pat. Since you're here, just in time to be skipped.
WC gets ripped. But no, it's been kind of a crazy at least day today. Like I've been just doing some work stuff. Had to drop by and pick up a trailer from my brother because he's going away, and then his car battery broke, and I had to jump that. And then I like pretty much got home, grabbed my sub. My sister gave me some Dole Whip, some orange Dole Whip, and yeah, I just had to drive home, get all my stuff, and now I'm here. Oh, I got a Magic the Gathering deck. I don't know if anyone plays Magic in the chat. It's called Bloomboro. It's like this squirrel deck. It's a really cool Magic deck. It's like a commander deck.
Squirrel deck.
Yeah, it's all squirrel themed. So like the idea is with the squirrels that you is that you just you make tokens like duplicates of squirrels and just make a ton of squirrels, and you kill the other enemy by attacking them with a ton of squirrels.
The look on Dan's face was priceless.
Like, Magic, where's Magic gone now? They ran out of like enough fantasy elements. They're going with killer squirrels now. Like,
yeah,
okay.
You know, it's kind of funny, but yeah, it's a squirrel deck has been a really interesting archetype. It hasn't really been supported except by like one or two commanders like Chatterfang. So like I see people saying they hate squirrel Magic decks. Too bad. The things that I like about that is that it's not like broken as much. Like if you have Chatterfang, it's broken because it like makes a bunch of different tokens and stuff.
What language are you speaking right now?
I'm speaking
Magic language. Yeah.
Actually, to be honest, the Warhammer is probably cheaper than Magic. To be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're saying in chat. Raiden said, I've always wanted to play Magic the Gathering, but damn, is that expensive? And I said, not as expensive as Warhammer, but you're saying that it's actually more expensive than Warhammer. I find that very hard to believe. Warhammer's so pricey.
Well, basically, the thing with Warhammer, though, is that you might spend $500, $600 for an army to set up, but for Magic, like if you want to keep on top and get all the good cards, you're going to buy like a booster box that's $100, a couple of Magic decks.
Every few months.
So
whenever they release a new set.
Yeah, Warhammer, where it's like you have like an army, like a 2,000 point, maybe 3,000 point, and you just switch things out.
Thanks, Wiener Bob. Budget or buttery?
Honestly,
squirrels on jet
skis. Yeah, buttery squirrels on jet skis. That's pretty buttery.
That's buttery. That's buttery
for sure.
Yeah.
It'd be budget if they're on like maybe like a go-kart or something.
Especially if they butter the bottom of the jet skis, you know, to make it really.
When it just wash off, they're on water.
I don't know. Hey, butter solidifies when it's cold. Anyway,
Magic's it's been good besides all that. Got the Magic deck. Getting ready for Germany. That's coming up like in a couple of days. I'm gonna be out with Xenos and Memphis, and I'm gonna be a witness for a Netlink match actually.
That's gonna be rad.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, you're gonna record plenty of footage and upload it to the website when you're back at the hotel, right?
Yep, I'm gonna see if I can stream at the convention as well.
And you gotta
rep stuff.
Rep SHIRO as much as you can.
I'm gonna hope to get some interviews too. I kind of want to talk to Andreas Scholl there from the Rainbow Cotton remaster thing they did, and then see if I can hunt down John and Audie. Maybe do like a small thing.
That's awesome. From digitally imported or
Digital Clips. No,
digital. No, one of those.
Digital Foundry.
Digital Foundry. Digitally Important is like a techno like online radio station that I listened to years ago.
I mean, technically, I think they're both in the techno, so maybe.
Salty Dagger says, "Is your flight paid for?" I think you paid for your flight like months ago, right?
Yeah, pretty much months ago.
Yeah,
I pretty much did half from me, half from SHIRO. So.
He's no refunds. He's going.
I'll be there.
He will be on that plane.
I better be, or else I'm gonna be crying. But yeah, the
Salty Dagger is gonna run down the tarmac and try to
jump on the plane with me.
Yeah,
stop the plane. He'll be like Jim Carrey and Liar Liar. Just, like, chasing me down.
Oh yeah, with the moving stairs. That scene is great.
Just him banging on the window. I'm just like look over, just like stop the plane.
Yeah.
I gotta have SHIRO show.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that's gonna be interesting for SHIRO show. I'm not sure how I'm gonna be able to do it in Germany because what's the time now in Germany? Let me double check.
I think it's 6 hours ahead, and it just after midnight, or.
Yeah, well, yes, yeah, they would be.
I think
the UK is 11, so yeah, they're midnight.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be unless we're out partying. I don't think. Thank you, people. Nice people giving me the time.
You're not old yet, Pat. You can totally stay up past midnight. Because it'll still feel like 3 p.m. to you. So
Yeah,
it won't even
but the
feel like
thing
midnight.
is that Momphis is taking me to some party, so
Nice.
I don't know like what time that
Easy on
party's
the
gonna get out of.
edibles. Easy on the edibles, Pat.
Yeah, really. Momphis, don't get Pat messed up. He's got to,
He won't
phone into
wake
the
up.
show.
He won't wake up. He's a lightweight. He won't wake
Yeah,
up.
I
that too.
actually am. I actually am. Not even lying.
He won't wake up for the next day of the
I know.
convention.
I'm just
Jeez.
like, Pat.
I'm gonna be like Chris Farley. No, that's too dark of a joke. I'm not making
Oh
that one.
God. Yeah, that is.
So anyway, thanks for the update, Pat.
Thanks for your update. Glad you were able to help your brother out, being a good brother. And
Also, update. This Dole Whip is pretty good. I usually hate orange flavored stuff, but this actually slaps. So,
nice.
thank you, Dole Whip, for reinvigorating my love for orange ices.
Nice.
Slap of the bass. Okay, so slap of the Dole Whip. There were some Dole Whip jokes up there too. Initial Dole Whip. I didn't read all of the comments, but some good stuff. Folks are on top of it. Let's see here. News. Saturn news.
Yes.
We are going back.
Saturn news.
Let's go back to
We got a lot of news. God
emulation.
dang.
Is that what we're going
It was
back
a busy
to?
week on Shiro's website this week. Yeah, I wanted to go back to the Yaba-san Shiro on iPhone
Nope,
story
sorry, Dan.
real
Dan.
quick.
We already did it. I'm just joking.
Pat, please. So the reason we did talk about this on the show last week, but the reason I wanted to go back to it real quick is because I have some updates on the emulator. So Yaba Sanshiro has actually been getting a couple updates since it got put onto the iPhone App Store. And like on August 12th, so the story went up on the 9th, which was Friday. And on Monday, a new version of the app went up that upgraded the emulation core. So I guess it made the emulation a little better. It had support for more file formats. So instead of having to like convert all of your Saturn games into like CHD format, which nothing else really uses emulator wise, you can now use BinQ, CCD image, and MDS MDF. I don't know what MDS MDF is. I've never heard of it, but that's another format you can use.
Yeah, I think it's an image burn. No.
Oh, is it image burn?
Is it image burn? It's one of those weird. Yeah.
Naming tools or something.
I mean, RIP to the was it the SSD CD sub format?
Yeah, he didn't mention that one. He didn't add that. It also had safe area support, which brings the user interface's buttons away from the edges of the screen a bit. I guess it was like right on the edge before, so we kind of made that a little better. And he also added. Now, my story originally said that there was no free version of Yaba-san Shiro on iOS. That was true at the time. Then 3 days later, the developer Shinya Miyamoto made a liar out of me and uploaded a free version.
Light.
So that's cool. Yeah, it's called the Light.
Right.
Yaba-Snashiro. I don't know why he renamed it. Yaba-Snashiro 2 Light.
Oh, it says here Sanshiro. Yaba Sanshiro 2 Light. Where are you seeing Snashiro?
He named it the Rizzler.
Oh, he must have changed the. It must have been misspelling. I swear to you, it originally said Yaba Snashiro 2 Light, and so that's why I wrote it in my story when I edited my story a few days ago. And he must have changed it back, so now it's Sanshiro. So that's good.
Go. That is good.
So yeah, there's a free version, and also just today he updated the paid version, which is a $5 purchase, one-time purchase. He updated it again to add analog controller support. I don't know if that exactly means that it couldn't support like analog controls in Saturn games that needed analog controls, or if it meant that it didn't support actual controllers with analog sticks. Either way, it sounds good. So there you go. He's been working on that. That's been his big focus. So if he's been doing all these updates since it launched, it must be selling well for him.
Sorry, did you mention the difference with the free version?
Well, yeah, I did not. The free version has ads and it's not as fully featured. Like for instance, the free version did not get updated to have analog controller support. So
I gotcha.
Whatever exactly that means, it's not in the free version. So the free version is almost more like a trial. Make sure that it kind of runs on your phone.
Yeah,
$5 isn't a huge ask, although. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess there are free like you can get a free Saturn emulator on your iPhone through like with Mednafin through the RetroArch front end. So I mean, if you really didn't want to pay any money, you could do that. This is just kind of Yabasantro is on there. You don't have to go through a different framework. It just runs on its own.
I kind of like that. Like to be honest, I'd rather pay the $5 and get an ad-free version of it than suffer through ads.
Right.
Like I have so many apps that I wish that weren't subscriptions. Like, oh, you could one-time purchase ads away. It's like I wish I could do that for more apps, but everything nowadays is subscription service bulk wrap. So it's like,
yeah, really,
I don't want to pay a subscription service. Can I just pay? Can I pay $300 for Photoshop and call it good in Premiere? Like, please.
Yeah,
like,
really.
I'm not asking for much here.
Everyone misses the days of being able to spend hundreds of dollars once and get Photoshop.
Yeah, that's why, like,
imagine that.
Isn't it like CS6 that was like the last physical version, and that one goes for so much because everybody wants it. They're like, Photoshop hasn't changed that much. Just go with the last like physical one.
Yeah, I mean, I was using CS2 for since 2006.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I literally the only reason I moved to CS6 is just because it was better compatible for Windows.
Oh, Dragons of Saturn. Sorry, Pat. Dragons of Saturn pointed out in chat that also the free version of Yabasantro on iPhone only lets you have 3 games. I believe that's 3 games at a time.
I gotcha. Right? Okay.
But yeah, so that's another limitation. Thank you, Dragons of Saturn.
Yeah, no, that's good. Alan Black Sheep said, I'm switched to Affinity now. Yeah, I might be interested in that. I always hear there's alternatives, but it's like, I just don't have time to like learn a whole new work process and workflow.
Speaking of that, I just downloaded and started using on this latest video that I did, DaVinci Resolve, the free version.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Like, I wish I would have, like, I was using a janky video editor before that would like bog down my PC and have a really hard time. The more that I added to the video, the more edits I'd make, the more cuts, like the memory couldn't handle it. It was just poorly optimized, right? And I got DaVinci Resolve, and it's like, it runs like butter. Like, it's so smooth. You can use the jog dial and you like fast forward through countless videos. It's just crazy, like how much better it works, and it's completely free. So I'm like, and it has great transitions. I'm just like, nice. Yeah, it is, and it is different. You know, of course, you do have to, like Pat's saying, you have to learn like a new way of doing things. Yeah. But, I mean, I'm not gonna download, I don't know, Premiere from some shady, site, whatever like that. I just figured, hey, I'll just get this because it's free. Everybody says it's great. So far, it's pretty good.
Okay, yeah, because the only other issue I have with like Adobe products is that they lag so bad in like Premiere.
Yeah,
like, I don't know if anybody uses Premiere, but like even like I have a 3090 and like a high-end processor, and it's like I'm still getting lag and like issues like with some of the videos and stuff. It's
try
rare,
DaVinci.
But, like,
I'm not even kidding. I'm on an old I'm on a GeForce, what is it, a 1060 GX or whatever, I forget. It's GTX. I'm on like a coffee lake. I'm on a laptop with like an old Core i7 8th gen. So I mean, and it's chewing through these videos, like, and doing these edits like super quick. So I'm happy with it.
You know what, I'll download it and I'll try it out. I mean, if it makes the workflow better and it's going to make my life easier, I'll take the L.
Yeah, and I mean, you can have both on your computer. You can try it side by side because it's just, but it relies on, like, it installs like some of the net frameworks. I forget, it installs a couple of Microsoft packages. But I mean, use both and see which one you like better. But I'm really impressed, like, with how fast it runs on such a slow old laptop.
It said there's a paid version. Is there like a big difference between?
Yeah, there's a paid. It's kind of like it's almost like Nagware, whereas every once in a while you try to use like a super cool transition, and it'll just come up with a little message that says, "Would you like to buy the thing?" And you just say no, and that's it. So far, I'm like, I can deal with that. And it's not every time you go to use a transition. It's like maybe every 50th time. It just like reminds you.
That's perfectly fine. I can. I'm actually downloading it like right as we speak.
Yeah, it's good. I'm impressed.
My brother used it. He says it's pretty sick. So I'll, as well.
Next
so,
up,
I'll give it a shot.
So this article is a long time coming. I know Cecil was writing and he was interviewing folks, right? And now it's up.
Mm-hmm.
This Toge King challenge article. Did you want to do the honors on this one, Dan?
I can, if you'd like. I can
Sure.
talk about it a little bit. I don't think anybody wants to hear me read the whole thing. Please, by all means, Cecil did a great job on this article, interviewing everybody. So hop on over to SegaSaturnShiro.com and read his whole story. But yeah, we ended our community challenge event, yet another one, in July, and in which we played 2 games. High Velocity and its Japan-only sequel, Toge 2, King the Spirits. And it was, as Cecil reports, a big success. We had the second most participants, I believe, of any of our events. We've done several, 4 or 5 now. So, it had a good number. We had nearly 24 participants, chasing the fastest times, Cecil says. And Sega RPG Fan was the big winner here. He got 8 of the 12 races. We had different race categories for this community challenge, and Sega RPG Fan won 8 of them. So congrats, congrats to Joe.
That's crazy.
He did great. In the 4 races that Joe did not win, he finished second 3 times and third once. So even the ones he didn't win, he still placed really high. He really got the knack of these games, clearly. And they were 2 very different games. The committee that kind of like comes together and decides what we're going to do we do these community challenges every other month now. We thought these games were going to be more similar, like the pinball games were a few months ago. And they're not. It's the first game, High Velocity, is a lot more arcade-ish, and the second one, the sequel, is more sim-like. So it's like the feel of the two is really different. And we use the sequel as like the weekly challenges, and I guess I was really messing people's brains up going between the two, trying to do those. But it was certainly a challenge, and that's the name of the game, is the monthly community challenge. So it lived up to that billing. The experimental format, Cecil said, like the series itself, was intended to keep participants engaged. And Gregory Rasputin, who was one of the organizers, he said that while it still needs some optimization, much was learned for future iterations of this community challenge. Gregory had said, "I hope we can continue to mix things up and keep people on their toes while fueling that competitive drive present in the community. I hope that we don't just settle and leave the challenges to feel samey." And I can tell you right now, we have not settled on what we're going to do for the September challenge, but we are leaning towards something that is going to be different from what we've done before. And we're hoping that people like it. I think it'll be cool.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to it. So yeah, we did have some community awards for the first time in the July Community Challenge. And Rasputin, Gregory, said that he hoped that the community awards would offer more balance to the events and ensure that it isn't only the ultra-skilled, sweaty tryhards who receive all of the bespoke patches. Because, of course, the prizes are made by Moose Track, so thank you to him. He makes the patches, and I think he makes hats, too, right?
Yes.
And Shiro
he's
pays
some
for that.
great hats. I'd wear them
if you were on
I was
camera.
on camera, so
right. we have seen them before, and they're awesome. And Shiro does provide that prize support. It pays for Moose Track's
exactly.
his efforts and his materials and everything. So let's see if I can pull up. Did Cecil talk about what the actual community awards were? Here we go. Community member Sega Steve won for most submissions. Curry Cooney won for lowest combined time across all 12 races using a digital controller. So not using the analog pad controller, but he was using like D-pads, which I was using the D-pad too. So it was that was kind of a fun challenge. So he beat me on that. I didn't do all 12 races though, so I wasn't really in the running for that anyway. For doing that, Curry Cooney won the title of King of the D-pad. So congrats on being King of the D-pad. That was well done.
That's nice. I wish I could be king of the D.
Well, you always are in every challenge in every facet of life, Pat. You're the
I'm
king of
always
the
king
D,
of the
Pat.
D. Yep.
Yes. So Shiro community members, evolution of CHS42, Double Dime and Sega Steve each took first place in one of the 12 races. Just to round that out. So yeah, thank you to Cecil for writing this up. We appreciate it. And thank you to everyone for participating in another community challenge. It was fun. I tried to participate in at least all of the high speed races. So I didn't do very well, but I at least, gave it an effort. And I was grinding a couple of days before the challenge ended. I was sitting there grinding and trying to improve my times, and I did. I improved my times by quite a bit every time I came back to this game. So it was definitely the sort of game where you could see gains by practicing more and getting the feel for it and learning the track. So it's a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good racing.
I really like the fact that the community challenge is allowed to is expanding past being as good than like have people that actually participate in it. I'm really happy that that now more people can actually get on that.
Oh, you're talking about Two's King of the Spirits 2, right?
Yeah, and high speed, both games.
Gotcha. Both of them are fantastic games. I really need to fix my wheel. I have the arcade racer wheel on Saturn. Love that thing. Apologies, don't mean to crash the party. Just want to pop and say hi.
Oh
No,
yeah,
that's
hi.
okay.
How's it going?
It is good.
It was a lot of fun, honestly. I wish I had more time to spend on that challenge. I was able to get pretty good at the first game with the steering wheel, but yeah, it was one of those things where the meta kind of changed halfway through, and then I got real busy and I wasn't able to kind of pivot and kind of learn the new meta. And at the same time, the weekly challenge came up for what was it, Toge 2, and everybody was really kind of like pivoting over to Toge 2 and saying that game was tough as nails, and some folks were liking it, some folks not. I know Double Dimes kind of went up and down with it like a roller coaster, but he ended up saying that it was great. It's just a matter of a few little things you kind of have to figure out, tuning wise and driving style, what car to choose, that kind of thing. So it's definitely one that I want to pour more time into when I get some time, which I definitely haven't had. But yeah, so even in the video that I recently did that I'll go live on Monday, I talk about it a little bit, but it's like
It's already up for Patreon subscribers.
It is up for Patreon subscribers, yeah. But folks will notice right away that it's like easily the game that I'm the poorest at, in all of those. It's like so because again, it doesn't work with the steering wheel the same way that the first game is. They're very different. They're quite different, and it's kind of crazy considering it's the same company and it's like one game done kind of after another. But maybe maybe they're just going for a more like what do you call it? Like, I don't want to say sim, but they were just going for a more realistic kind of
realistic.
Whereas
sometimes doesn't work for people.
Yeah.
Speaking of controls, one game that's interesting to try to handle around is the Initial D game that they have on Saturn. That game seems to really struggle with the steering aspect, even with the wheel. I don't know if any of you have found a way around that personally through experience.
Which game?
It's just called
the Initial D game on Saturn.
Oh yeah. I just use the D-pad. And I've beaten that
really
game on
a way to make that like bearable.
Oh man, I think see, I just think it's a matter of how you approach it, because
to be fair though, that game's all about struggling.
It is at first, but like it's not even hard anymore. I would say the same thing as like we spent a bunch of time with Touring Car Championship, and everybody just got good, after like a week of playing it. And it's kind of like that. Once you figure out the whole like toe tap, tap the. Oh, there's a huge issue is that everybody looks at the manual and and it says that X and Y are drift buttons. Okay, it says drift, right? And then B, your regular ABC. B is brake, right? So drift. People automatically think, oh, I'll just press the drift button. No, those are the e-brake, and you really only want to use the e-brake. at very sharp corners where you're not going fast enough to do an inertia drift. All other times you want to tap the actual foot brake, and then let off and kind of swing the car out and just counter steer. And I've beaten the game on easy and hard just with the D-pad, and I can pretty much race every track without hitting a single guardrail. So it's totally doable. It's just one of those things where, like you, a couple years ago, I thought the game was trash, and then I just spent some time with it, and now I think it's amazing. so yeah.
Have to let you go then, especially they have that Eurobeat.
Yeah.
The Eurobeat
Oh
mod.
yeah. The Eurobeat mod is what the Eurobeat mod makes it. It just makes I don't want to like get into talking about initial D in this because that's not what we're. But I mean, yeah, I will agree with you. The Eurobeat mod just makes that game even better. Folks should check it out.
Yep. I actually need to bounce, but it was nice talking to everybody.
Yeah, nice
having you on the
Okay,
show.
bye.
Yep, bye.
Next up, are we talking? So we're talking about this video that the Sega guys uploaded on Frog Bull's Crash demo.
Yeah, we can also just talk about the demo as well on top of that, because we also put out a
absolutely
video of our replay. Let me just get the article up. I am
Yeah,
done
so
and
you put
looked at
that
the
up
article.
this week, Pat. You kind of like cut out the portion of the SHIRO show last week in which we exclusively debuted Frog Bull's latest demo of Crash Bandicoot. So that was cool. You put that up. But yeah, the Sega guys are fellow Shiros now. They also took a look at the demo, and they kind of did a video and gave their thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, a really good video. You could play it in the one in the description. It was a really fun demo. On top of like it was a surprise. Like we just got a message up like, "Hey, you want to show off the demo?" And I'm like, show off a video. It's like, "No, you want to play it?" I'm like, hell yeah, we want to play it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the way it worked that the Sega guys got it for for a video release, and we got it for a live premiere. So we put up the live premiere portion, which we streamed last week, and then we had the Sega guys did their video that was released. I think a couple days afterwards. I think is that the
Yeah, I feel like it was Monday.
Which, by
This
the
week.
way,
Yeah.
Pat, Froggy told me to hit you up for the link because he sent me the link, but it was dead by the time I tried to use it because I was sick.
Same here.
Yeah, he was like, just hit up Pat. He has a copy. So
I was busy going to see Deadpool at the drive-in movie theater Friday
nice.
night after the show.
How dare
we
you,
went
Dan?
we went
How
from the
dare
show to eating pizza to running off to the drive-in, so I didn't have a chance to download it either.
definitely
No.
impressive was that fog effect. That was he using VDP2 for that?
He was using a VDP2 layer. Yep.
See, and now that's just Saturn's got that in its bag of tricks, and it's kind of neat that that he's able to get it to do that.
Oh,
Yeah, because I mean the PS1, the PS1 had to actually devote polygons to doing that, right?
Exactly.
And the Saturn, it just VDP2 doesn't know sweat.
Yeah, and it does it pretty well. Like it performed pretty well for there's a quick demo. Like, I know it's a bit laggy in places, but it still was pretty solid. It looks like it's like in 30 on their end, but it felt like it was like 60-ish on mine in certain spots.
Yeah.
Maybe I might have like underestimated. To be fair, I did play it live, so I'm happy to note that the Sega guys also couldn't get through the bridge as well. So
yeah,
I'm not.
It looks like it's kind of hard.
Yeah, I'm not calling out skill levels or anything. I'm just saying that I'm kind of glad that I also, because I felt when I put out the videos, like I'm not sure if I should put this up because I did like a horrible job at that bridge. But I'm glad that they did just as horrible as I did on it.
Yeah, because you
not-
kind of can't
not throw them on the bridge. Just
I don't know if it's a
just-
collision thing or like you just not, how he hasn't been able to like tune it to the same kind of
yeah.
gameplay as the PlayStation version, but it looks like it's really hard to judge your distance.
Yeah.
Is it a scrolling bitmap or something procedural? Shadow asked about the fog. I think it's probably just a scrolling bitmap.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just like I don't know. I've never honestly. This is gonna be like a gamer cred removal card, but I've actually never played the original Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, really?
I haven't either. There are not
so-
many PS1 games I've played, to be honest.
It was a
I have
lot of
like a
fun.
very small collection.
Yeah, I mean it's not required reading. You could probably go with like Crash 2 is like the Crash 2 or 3 are the ones that are like a lot of folks like. But the first one was kind of cool when it did come out. Like it was I want to say that it was like revolutionary because you could only like move like into the screen, but the graphics were pretty cool. I remember thinking it was awesome when I was a kid. When that came out. But yeah, like I'm gonna revoke your gamer card, Pat. That's
cool.
funny.
But yeah, like I mean, I could probably play the Reignited trilogy and have a better time.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
probably do that. I don't know. I've never been a big Crash fan. I preferred Spyro, to be honest.
Yeah,
I thought honestly my favorite PlayStation mascot characters probably were Spyro and the dude from Medieval. I forget what his name was.
I wanted to get the Spyro trilogy on the Switch, and then when I looked at it, the box, like I wanted to get a physical copy, and the box is like one of those download required.
Download only.
It's like basically you get like a tiny little initiation file, and like the entire game is digital, and it's downloaded to your Switch. So it's basically you own
pretty
nothing.
Junky.
Yeah,
you're right.
That's crazy. It's not on a physical cartridge.
It is like you can go buy a box with physical cartridge, but there's basically nothing on there, and so like most of the game has to be like downloaded onto your internal memory or an SD card, and so yeah, that kind of sucks.
In chat, Frogbull said, "I will add checkpoints to help, but of course you can't avoid to break the box."
I'd like to talk for a second about like the community out there and like all the naysayers, like. Are we really?
Oh yeah.
Are we really still at the point where folks like don't believe that this is real? Like I think it's already kind of been vetted as much as it possibly can.
Yeah, because like I mean, there was one thing before when he came out of the blue and nobody knew, but like
sure.
Like I mean, we had XL2 who verified it and showed us that it was running.
Yeah,
he gave us the demos.
With Metal Gear Solid.
I mean, for every one Frog Bull out there. Or person like Frog who's doing stuff like that, you've got like 100 guys out there posting videos to YouTube saying this is some so-and-so game running on Saturn, and it's really just like a PC downscaled, with like the lowest resolution. That
Here's
kind of
what
stuff.
Sonic Adventure would look like on the Saturn.
For clicks, and that's what we kind of thought it was at the beginning. But of course, like he was vetted by XL2 who said it was real. And of course, now folks are playing it. It's like, why are there still people out there that are throwing shade and saying, oh, I still don't believe it. I don't believe that it's real.
Dave,
and these guys are in on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's not like the SHIRO and the Sega guys are part of some like massive conspiracy to keep up the lie that Crash Bandicoot isn't really running on the Saturn. Like, no, really,
our agenda is to push the Saturn, right? So we must be lying.
Any lie necessary.
The Saturn was capable of what PlayStation was. We're all a bunch of hacks who are. It's seriously though, like the other thing I've heard as well is like, oh, well, he keeps working on this stuff, but he's never going to release it to any of us. I'm like, people need to like slow their roll. Seriously. He's still working on, these are like passion projects of his own. And he's sharing the progress with us. Everybody's so entitled, not everybody, but like a bunch of folks out there are so entitled to just be like, give me whatever you have right now. It's like, it's not ready. If he, and I can tell with Frogbull, it's like, he's a perfectionist. Like he wants to get it as perfect as it possibly can be, because the whole idea is proving a point that the Saturn was capable of running these games. And that if there had been a developer back then given the job, like Frogbull, if he had been given the job on his desk, he would have done this, and he would have ported those games to the Saturn, and we would have got them. So it wasn't a matter that the Saturn couldn't do it, which is one of those myths that people like to say, oh, well, the Saturn didn't get these games because it couldn't run the games.
Yeah, Frogbull is helping to change the narrative.
He's changing the narrative.
He's changing it. That
was a convenient excuse for studios like the Resident Evil guys, Capcom, to say, oh, we're not. What they really should have said is, we're not going to make any money if we try to port this to the Saturn. Not the Saturn can't do it.
I think what they're worried about though with that is that they don't want to say that because it's like, they could be like, oh, we're not going to make any money, so we're not going to waste our time with Sega. Well, it's like I don't know, a valid excuse for Sega to be like, oh, hey, it just doesn't have the power. It's like, okay, we understand that, but like, if they want to make other games on their console and not get blacklisted, they probably want to say, oh, or like get sued. It's like, oh yeah, we just couldn't do it versus, oh, we're not going to make any money because the console's dead. So, not to mention cannibalize their own sales, because like, oh, well, if the console's dead, then why am I buying, these Capcom games on the Saturn
I mean,
that's coming out? So why am I gonna waste my time?
and I mean, it wasn't like it. True. Like, yeah, I agree with you, Pat. The thing is, it's like, sure, there were challenges. And I mean, you look at a game like Wipeout, for example, the first port, it's not great. It runs at 20 frames per second versus 30, and there aren't true transparencies and stuff like that. And of course, you look at 2097, and they improved. Like, they stuck with it, they improved, and it got better. You look at Street Fighter, the Alpha series, it just continued to improve and get better from 1 to 0, 3. You look at a lot of these games where the developer kind of stuck with it for round 2 or round 3, and they did improve, and they figured out the Saturn's idiosyncrasies and how to make it work, to their advantage. But yeah, some of these games, like, I can't think of any reason why Crash couldn't run on the Saturn. It's so much less limiting, like when hearing about what they had to do to kind of like remove the limitations of the PlayStation to get it to work, and with Saturn, you got some bus contention issues and stuff like that, but you pretty much have a wide open architecture in terms of like them limiting you from doing it. As long as you're creative and you figure out creative solutions like Frogbowl is, you can make it happen, and so yeah, anyway, the moral of the story is just leave Frogbowl alone. To like, folks need to just like back off and let him do his work, and if he reaches a point where it's something that he's proud enough that he wants to share, I'm sure that he will, but nobody
wants to have like an incomplete version of what they're working on out in the world with their name on it. And people are going to look at it like this Crash demo. While it's cool, it is very unfinished. It has a lot that still needs to get implemented. I mean, it doesn't have like enemies in it or anything. There's no music, so if that gets out there, and people are going to be like, "Oh, this Frogbowl clearly isn't very good at this because there's so much missing." Like, why does he think this is Crash Bandicoot?
I wonder how many people were on that team, on that development team. One guy, guy trying to take on some of the more challenging PlayStation ports, one guy.
Yeah.
So, just like Scotty said, just let him cook, people need to.
Because, I mean, he just doesn't want to see them, like, to be frank, they don't just want to see him on eBay, and then people like complain, like, oh, why did I get this game's broken?
But I mean, like complaining that it's all just that he's drip feeding us footage. I mean, people have said some pretty horrendous stuff, and it's like accusations about the Patreon and stuff like that. Like, look, guys, this takes time. So if you love what Frogbowl's doing, support his Patreon, because it'll help him do more of this. You know what I mean? Instead of have to, be a slob with a day job. You know what I mean? Like, if you like what he's doing, support his Patreon. There's nothing wrong with that. He's an artist, obviously, and he's working hard to make this stuff happen. So it's like, I hate it when people throw shade at folks who are working hard by themselves to try to make something a reality, and they're giving us proof of that work through like videos and blogs and diaries and stuff like that, and that should be enough. And whenever he's ready to like drop something to the public, then folks also need to go easy in terms of like criticism, because it's one guy again. But that's my feelings on it. And I've been reading a lot of stuff. I need to just stop reading Reddit, but there's just so many jerks.
Yeah, honestly, the Sega Saturn Reddit is kind of like,
it's kind of like not a good place to be anymore. But yeah, no, this is phenomenal, and so that was awesome, Pat, that you got to stream it, even though you kept dying. But
I mean, I'll send it to you all so you guys can try it out too.
Yeah, it would be great.
Okay, thanks.
I want to try it out just for the heck of it. But I mean, even though I've pretty much seen what's there, it's cool.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I think the worst I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go put on eBay and print out a bunch of repro copies and sell it. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah.
Frogbowl's worst nightmare.
That's right. It'll be
exactly come to life.
Enigma Customs brings you
Enigma. I'm more like Enema Customs.
Enema
Customs.
No. All right. Next up, Calypso. This thing is amazing. I haven't gotten to play with this either, but you said you did, Dan, right? And
I did. I booted it up a little bit this week to mess around with it. Here's the thing, like it is kind of limiting on what you can do with just a gamepad. But here, let me tell you what it is. I did mention this very briefly on the show last week, I think. But I've written a whole story on SegaSaturnShiro.com that you can read. But briefly, this is a homebrew program made by a developer named NeoSquid, and it taps into the Saturn's sound processor, the SCSP, and kind of gives you control over all of its functions. There's a lot of functionality in the Saturn's Yamaha sound chip. It doesn't just do Redbook audio off of a CD, although it can do that too. It has its own synthesizer chip, essentially, kind of like the Genesis had a Yamaha sound chip as well. And you can make your Saturn make all kinds of sounds. You can make your Saturn sing for you. And so Calypso here is the name of the software that NeoSquid has made that kind of lets you do that. He posted about on Sega Extreme earlier this month on August 6th, and you can download it from NeoSeeker's GitHub page, which I do have a link to on my story on the website, but it's like TOTheta255/Tethys. Tethys is kind of like a bigger like sound framework that NeoSquid is working on, and Calypso's just a part of it. I'm not entirely clear on what his whole plan for that is. But yeah, he made this because, according to what he posted on Sega Extreme, since I couldn't find any tools that gave me access to the SCSP's unique feature set, I decided to try writing one myself. The result of this effort and my first serious Sega Saturn project is Calypso, an interactive sound design program that lets you create and play your own custom instruments on the Saturn from a variety of parameters and samples. Yeah, it's all text-based right now. You just kind of like go through, there's multiple menus, there's like a few pages. You keep kind of like scrolling through a few pages worth of options. And you can like press the A button to play the given note and hold it. You can also press the L and R shoulder buttons to like page through some different options too. It's wild how many different things you can do with this. But like he said, like it does work with a gamepad, but he strongly recommends that you use a keyboard. I don't think he means a MIDI keyboard. He actually means like a teclada, like the Saturn keyboard. Yeah, like a computer keyboard. Which of course you need like a dongle or something to hook a keyboard up to the Saturn. Or I guess get like an actual Saturn branded keyboard, right? But yeah, he's got a bunch of different keys that will do different functions in Calypso with the keyboard, and the keyboard actually lets you play multiple notes all at once. I don't think he's got like MIDI functionality working with this, like with the MIDI keyboard, because of course there were a couple of retail games on the Saturn that used that kind of like gave you not quite similar functionality, I want to say, but they did let you kind of make your own music with the Saturn.
Yeah, Music School by
they were called
Waka.
Saturn Music School. Yeah, and Saturn Music School 2. They came out in like summer of 1997 and summer 1998 in Japan only. They do have like a bunch of their own songs you can kind of like play around with or whatever, but you can make your own music in those as well using a dongle that they came with that you could then hook up to a MIDI keyboard that you had to already own. And then you could like, I think it's supposed to kind of teach you how to play your new MIDI keyboard.
Fun fact that that Casio, or no, I'm sorry, it's a Yamaha. Those Saturn packaged, Music School Yamaha keyboards are ridiculously expensive.
Oh, I'm sure.
For like $100, you can buy the exact same Yamaha keyboard that just comes in a regular Yamaha box. Because it's the exact same. There's nothing special about it. It's like this little like Yamaha keyboard that they just kind of repackaged for Music School. So it's like this white Yamaha keyboard. You can get them for like $100 on eBay. So if folks get that,
it has Saturn on it.
Yeah, it's got Saturn on it, right? Immediately. $500
makes it better.
But yeah, no, I'm just saying for folks who might want to play around with it. You get a little, any MIDI keyboard would work, to be honest. But like if you wanted the same MIDI keyboard, you could just get that little Yamaha and the dongle. I think Shadow Mask got that dongle and he was like playing around with it.
Yeah. Now,
I
speaking of Shadow Mask, he said in chat that there is no MIDI in
Mm.
Calypso. He said I
Mhm.
bugged him about it. I guess bugging
Right.
Neo Squid
Not
about it. Of course, Shadow
surprised.
Mask would
He's a
take
musician. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's an audio engineer, so of course he's going to take an interest in this.
Mhm.
I did wonder what Shadow Mask thought of Calypso. Shadow Mask said, "We agreed. It's super niche considering how bespoke the MIDI adapter is. Still want it though. You could send Saturn MIDI rips from a PC. Yeah, that would be cool."
Right.
Shadow Mask said, "I also tested it. That was implied." Well, what did you think about Shadow Mask? Let us know in chat. Because like I said, I was just playing with just a regular gamepad, and
Mhm.
I was having some fun screwing around with it and changing my pitch and kind of having like a cool sort of like fade out every time I'd hold a note and then let go of the button, it would do a little fade out. And what's funny is if you would change the pitch right after pressing the button, you change the pitch and it would do the fade out, but doing the different notes. Like it was like you kind of modify it in real time. So that was cool.
I will say I'm glad to see more stuff being built on Pone Sound or Pone Sound.
Yes, this does use Pony Sound.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Would love to see folks leverage the cyber sound instrument library, figure out how to like get, because I mean those tools are available and you can use them either on like a
really?
We actually did an article on SHIRO that folks can pull up if they look up cyber sound, and all the files are hosted and downloadable. They're probably available on Sega Extreme as well. But yeah, cyber sound, the PC tools or the Mac tools, and then on the PC side. But then the libraries on the Saturn side are the part where I've not seen anybody kind of like mess around with that, and because like there's a few games that used cyber sound.
Right.
Nice is one of the high profile ones, and I mean from what I understand, it's kind of like a MIDI instrument library, I guess, but then there's also like drivers in there as well. And so it would be interested. I'm like Shadow Mask. I'm a musician as well, and I'm very interested in seeing folks kind of tap the Saturn's audio potential. I know that's something that Professor Abrasive wanted to do originally. That was like the whole impetus for the satiator, and then it ended up becoming an ODE, to run games. But like he originally wanted to tap into the Saturn's sound Yamaha processor and the SCP, but yeah, so it's anytime something like this happens, I'm just supportive of it and happy to see that folks are messing around with it, because hopefully one thing will lead to another. Go ahead.
Shadow Mask said in chat, "It's fun, granular control of synth parameters like you'd want. I think it had 4-note polyphony. Was it only 4? Maybe that's just the limitation of the program. I thought that the Saturn's Yamaha chip could do like way more than just 4 notes at once. There was like 32 different channels.
Dang,
Unless
I
I
can't
misunderstood the manuals. Yeah, I guess not.
Oh yeah, no, I mean you listen to something like Radiant Silvergun. There's definitely more than 4 going on there. So this might just be a limitation of this software or whatever.
He's still working on it. Yeah, I think he's only been working on this for like about a month, according to like the first time that anything was uploaded to GitHub. So
yeah,
looks like I gotta get a MIDI keyboard for that then.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I mean, I have a keyboard that has MIDI on it that would work. I just need to get the dongle. It's one of those things I have not prioritized, but because the use of it is so niche.
Did you play the video of this, Dave, that I've got?
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot going on because I muted the sound.
Mostly sound. Oh, well, yeah. The point is the sound.
Yeah. Well, we're talking, but but yeah, no, I did kind of play the video and show some of the menu stuff that's going on. Folks should definitely check this out. You can go on our website and check out this article, and there's a extended demo that's you. This is your demo that you uploaded, Dan?
What? No, the video that's
sorry, this is Neo Squid. Neo Squid posted this short video.
Yeah, you put that on Twitter.
I gotcha.
Looks like I need to for the next if this gets committed to the competition, I'll have to pick up like a MIDI keyboard from Amazon and just do some judging with it.
Fun fact is Waka is a Korean manufacturing company, and they made the MIDI dongle thing, for the music school. They also made a bunch of other like really weird bespoke hardware. They made the Sony Waka upscan converter that I have in My Life in Gaming did a video on that, and they did several other little things. Like they they usually made they were almost like a second party. They were almost like a second party manufacturer where they would make officially licensed peripherals for different
Kind of
gaming
like
companies.
Hori, right?
Like Hori, but even more official. Like their name was not usually printed on the device, you know what I mean? And if it was very small. So they kind of like just kind of hung in the back. You'd really have to like know about them to know that it was them, or like read about it on Sega, about on what Sega Retro or something like that. But I mean, for the most part, they did not put their brand out there like Hori would, you know, like Hori has kind of a reputation of making sticks and stuff. No, Waka, they would do a bunch of stuff behind the scenes, contracted as basically as like first party licensed peripherals. So they would bear like hardware codes, like actual official like Saturn or PlayStation hardware codes. But yet they weren't Sega. They were like a outside company making this stuff.
Makes sense. Sega themselves don't make their own various peripherals. You know, they're not really like they weren't a hardware maker.
I mean, they made the multi-control. They made the multi-controller. They made the 3D control pad. Yeah. So I mean, but yeah, you're right. There are some things like, I mean, so Shadow Mask got the MIDI. He got the MIDI dongle, and he said there's not a lot to it. Like it's pretty. Like didn't you try to make your own? I think he did try to like solder up his own, because it's basically really, really simple. It's really dumb. Dumb as in...
Buy Dragons of Saturn, enjoy your dinner. Thanks for watching.
Not technologically complex. But anyway, so yeah. Next up is an expansion hack to Metal Black. Did you mean to... That rhymes. Oh, well, Bo did it, so expansion hack, Metal Black.
Yeah, Bo Bales coming in with another cool uncovered secret that no one knew about before in a game, and this time it is the shmup Metal Black. You found a debug menu. Tell us about it, Dave?
Yeah, sure. Saturn version of Metal Black is a port of the 91 Taito arcade game. In its story, Earth is suffering under an uneasy truce with a hostile alien force. Our hero, John Ford, takes it upon himself to banish the aliens by commandeering an illegal space plane. Weirdly, the bad ending is good. Earth launches a strike against the aliens, and the good ending is bad. Earth gets broken in half. Well, that's weird. The invasion takes place in 2042, so we have 18 years to get our act together. Why am I writing about it? Bo says, alas, it's because there's a prototype demo on Saturn Super Volume 6. That's the Japanese magazine that was published. That version, sadly, doesn't have any additional files. Writing about the game's heretofore undocumented debug mode, you can get a patch to enable it from Sega Extreme. And there's the link that'll take you there. And here's the video. I will mute it and show folks an example here of the video playing. Should I leave the audio on? I guess if we're not going to talk.
Sure.
It. Yeah. Let's see what's... So yeah, there's a little debug mode on.
You can pick which level, the round select, which is very important when you're really trying to get good at a shmup.
Nice. Yeah, that would definitely be quite... well, I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Quite valuable to folks like trying to get better at it. Whoa, why is it like lagging like that? Interesting. I will say Metal Black is like one of those games. It's like a harder shmup, you know, and with all the shmups on Saturn, I feel like it kind of gets overlooked a lot. But it's pretty good. And of course, like hardcore shmup fans are kind of all about it. But you can see copies of it on, you know, vendor floors for not that much, actually. It's definitely one of the more like obtainable shmups these days.
Wonder if it helps that it got that Saturn Tribute modern re-release.
Right. Yeah. Maybe. Oh, it helps drive the price down or up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Probably drive the price. I mean, I guess it could drive it up because now
it'll help more folks know about it.
But
yeah. Because
Yeah.
unless you're digging around, like if you're just like a glancing Saturn fan, like where you're kind of like, you know, all the big ones, and you kind of,
Radiant
unless
Silvergun.
you're like digging into like Racket Boy's site and you're going all the way to the bottom, because that's what you dial up, you bring up like a Racket Boy article and you scroll to the bottom, you're gonna find Metal Black, but it's not gonna be any of like the first 20 that he talks about, because it's just kind of much more niche, and it flies under the radar, you know. Unintended. But yeah, so here talks about goes into more technical details, which I love that Bo does this. You know, he goes into the actual technical nitty gritty of how he discovered it and what. And you guys can and this is of course re-syndicated, I guess, from his Rings of Saturn article, which is, you definitely should subscribe to
his blog,
guys. You know, read his blog. It's phenomenal, and we love Bo and all the cool stuff that he keeps doing for the community.
Thank you for posting these on SHIRO. You know, we do appreciate it.
One thing I really love that Bo talked about in the cast that we did about like programming for Saturn and like hacking games is that he was like he was a huge Saturn fan and Dreamcast, and like when he got the news that the Dreamcast was being discontinued, he was like, oh well, I guess I'm not interested in video games anymore. Like because the best one out. He dropped out of the scene, and then when he came back, he was like several consoles removed, and he was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna go, you know, jump back into the Saturn and Dreamcast because that's like all I know about gaming, you know. So he hasn't really made any concerted effort to like get caught up with like modern gaming. But he's like such a hardcore like Saturn and well, Genesis, Saturn and Sega fan. Absolutely. Sonic, Burning Rangers, you know, so there's a lot of passion here behind this, and it's like just interesting that he himself is kind of like a time capsule gamer, you know, kind of like Uncle from Another World, you know.
I'm just curious what he did between those 20 years. Did he just like play his other consoles and do other stuff?
No, he got
I don't think he played video games at all.
I think he just got deep into his career path, which was like programming and stuff like that. And actually he was using Ghidra, I guess, which is a kind of a reverse engineering tool. He was using Ghidra on Saturn games. He figured he'd do some reverse engineering of Saturn games as kind of like a fun project to teach himself Ghidra, so that he could then take that knowledge and use it in his day job for other stuff, because Ghidra is a very versatile tool which can, you know, has a ton of uses. But in this case, you know, he was just kind of using Saturn as like training wheels for learning that program, and one thing leads to another, and now this is like a hobby of his, you know, where he's just digging through one Saturn game after another and writing about it on his blog. So we're fortunate to have him re-syndicating his articles on SHIRO, and that's phenomenal.
And fortunate that he's doing all this, finding all this new stuff.
Oh yeah,
people need to start adding this to the cutting room floor. I mean, dang, he must went through tons of games by
like
this point.
that's kind of his bread and butter too, is like going through demos and finding stuff in demos that kind of point back to, you know, commercial games, and then seeing if those things made it into the commercial games. Oh, discrepancy, you know, and then that's kind of how he goes, you know, just looking at either demos or unreleased prototypes, that kind of thing, and that informs another thing, you know. Or just, you know, sometimes folks just kind of say, hey, there's this weird game, can you take a look at it? And they slide it his way. I'm guilty of that, and he's looked at it, you know, and either confirmed or denied certain suspicions that I've had. But I'm really love what Bo's doing, and Metal Black is it's a cool game. It's by Ving, and Ving did, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they also do that Konami game, the
Elevator?
EAR, Elevator Action Returns? Wasn't it?
I think so. And they also did
they did Elevator Action Returns, they did Metal Black, and then I think they also did Night Striker, but I could be wrong about that. It has a very similar style, but so Willy Wombat, here's a best of Saturn that you played, Dan, right? You spent some time with this recently.
This one's kind of interesting.
Yeah, Peter wrote up a best seller. Do you want to read it, Pat? The
Sure.
best of Saturn?
So one thing I want to point out before I start going to this is how weird this release was, because this was like a, like it looks like a typical like a what's the word I'm looking for, like a mascot game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This was never released out in America.
Yes,
Yeah, it
I'm
seems very
surprised.
Western focused, doesn't it? Like it seems like
Yeah.
it was meant to come out in the West and not Japan.
Exactly, like this was like it looks very much like Darkwing Duck. The characters are very
Oh,
anime-esque
yeah.
though.
That's a good call. I was trying to think, like what does this remind me of? And you're
Remind you
it's
of,
like
yeah.
Darkwing Duck is kind of like that Willy Wombat
True.
Darkwing Duck. So, who was this developed by the way?
This was by Hudson. So
Was it developed by
classic
Hudson or just
No.
Hudson Soft? Yeah.
No.
It was published by Hudson.
Right.
Published by Hudson Soft. Sorry about that.
Right, that's what I thought. Who developed it?
Shushimu Machima? No, is that another publisher on top of that? What the heck? I'm not
one
sure.
might
It just says,
one might be be like an anime or
it just says like
cartoon.
Hudson. I'm
firm.
just seeing Hudson in here, so
Mhm.
I assume they did publishing and developed it, because Hudson Soft has been doing a lot of it.
So Sega Retro says that Westone developed this game. Right. Westone, of course, also did the Wonder Boy series.
Right. Yeah.
Famously.
That definitely lines up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's basically a 3D action game. It's like it kind of reminds me of Diablo, that sort of like that fixed camera position, like
Mhm.
It's
over
not
the
fixed
top.
though. Here's the
It's
thing:
not
you
fixed.
can turn. Yeah, you can rotate the camera 360 degrees with the shoulder buttons.
That's the crazy thing. So it is kind of like it's kind of isometric, but it's also rotatable camera, right? Which reminds me of there's another game that's kind of like that, and it is Steam Gear Mash, I think. It's either Steam Gear Mash or another one that is kind of 3D. I mean, technically Grandia is 3D isometric as well. And,
Grandia, it really does feel kind of Grandia-ish. Not like I've played a ton of Grandia, but Grandia-ish.
Yeah, Shining
because
Force
it's
3.
like or Shining Force 3. It's a 3D environment, but then your characters are all like 2D sprites. And like I was saying today before the show, this I kind of like the similarity here between Willy Wombat and another Hudson published game, Bulk Slash. They are both games with 3D environments in which the player character is a well-animated 2D sprite.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Willy Wombat is basically a 3D platformer because you can spin the camera 360 degrees. It's a 3D environment. There is a lot of platforming in this game. You have to make your jumps from the very first level.
It's a really big It's pretty much a platforming. It's essentially a platforming game.
Right. And another game,
and you have to spin the camera, otherwise you will miss things. You won't be able to make progress beyond like the first level if you're not spinning the camera.
The RPG Dark Savior that also has like platforming elements, but it's like isometric. Mm-hmm. You turn the camera.
That's true.
Some of those platforming tasks are a little bit difficult as well because it's hard to judge. You kind of have to keep rotating the camera to kind of see where you are. It's funny. Yeah. Peter actually mentions Grandia in his description. He says, a total curiosity, Hudson's Willy Wombat materialized in mid-97, 3D-ish action adventure game. You control the wombat across various landscapes, collecting gems as you go. The best way to imagine how this plays is to think Grandia as an action platformer. Yeah. That's how the 3D works.
But this game is interesting. What I liked a lot about it is just is that the voice acting is all in English. So like I said, it's kind of interesting that they, did all the effort to put in voice acting in English, but never release this in America. And the only thing I think of is that it's one of those things where it's like, it was about 97. So it's like, they're probably like, well, this console's dead. So maybe not put that effort in translating it. And since it's a Hudson game, maybe they just thought, let's just release in Japan since we already have the text in Japanese and stuff. So
that other company you mentioned, Pat, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a manga or anime studio that did these like really nice hand drawings.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, the character design is by a company that's very Japanese sounding.
Yeah.
Let me just Google them real quick.
Susumu Matsushita Company. There you go. Susumu Matsushita.
You look at like the little
that's a manga artist. That's not a company. That's a manga artist.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's
an individual person, like he's the guy.
yeah, he's an
that-
individual
okay.
person. He's not a
I
company.
got
Oh,
you.
that's his name, but he has a company named after himself.
Also
I
him.
guess.
I got
Yeah.
you.
He's credited as
Yeah,
the
no,
character
I mean this
designer
is the
and
you're
illustrator.
right, Pat. This is very reminiscent of Darkwing Duck, and it's also very very clean. Like the drawing style and everything is like Disney-esque, but also very like Japanese manga kind of cleaned up.
Yeah, no,
Controls are
it's
somewhat stiff, and the story is written in Japanese, but the voice acting is all in English. This thing is dying to be translated. Then,
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even really need to be because all of the story you just hear in English.
well, yeah,
It's giving Japanese. It's almost like this was an English game
Mhm.
that a company did a Japanese translation for, but it was easier for them to just change the subtitles at the bottom from English to Japanese and leave the English dub alone because dubs are hard. So
Right,
that's what it
right.
kind of feels
Yeah.
like. I mean, yeah, like the controls, in the menu. That's in Japanese, but I mean, you don't really need to mess with them. Just look at the scan of the manual, or buy a real copy and look at the manual, and just use Google Translate on your phone, and it'll tell you what the controls are. Or just do what I do and mess around with it and figure it out. Like the XYZ buttons aren't even used in this game. It's like A button is to like swing like a close. I think that's the close-in attack where you just like swipe your boomerang. The B button is jump. C button is throw your boomerang, and you can throw two boomerangs at once. And then L and R, like I said, rotates the camera. Those are the controls. You can double tap in a direction of the D-pad to run. It doesn't seem to make you jump farther though. Like there were some jumps that it didn't seem like I could make. So I was trying to like do like a running jump, and it wasn't working. There are abilities. There's like the manual mentions 3 abilities. Excuse me. That you can find in the game, and you can go back and replay levels you've already cleared.
Right, yeah, that's
so I wonder if
cool.
there's like an ability in the game that lets you kind of like jump farther or like hover a little bit. And that's how you're supposed to like make some of those jumps to find secret areas. I'm not sure. I played it for a little bit this week, but I did really like it. I thought it was a cool game.
Peter like just passingly mentions a link between this and Crash Bandicoot, but he doesn't say what it is. A very interesting link to Crash Bandicoot.
Up on the chat that he said Willy Wonka's exists in forced development team Naughty Dog to change the name of the title character to Crash Bandicoot. What I'm guessing is that maybe it's like because it probably was Willy Wombat. I mean, there's actually I found a design document that actually had like his name, like the game called Wombat Combat.
Well,
yeah, they were going to have a wombat. Yeah, like Crash Bandicoot was going to star a wombat. And then when Naughty Dog started doing some research on what was out there, they saw this Willy Wombat game being made for the Saturn. And they're like, oh, well, we don't want to be sued. So they changed their character to a Bandicoot.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's really fascinating. Like there's a lot of cool art like on Twitter, on Tumblr that they have like a bunch of but like from what I'm looking at, I try to see if I don't think Susumu Matsushita like worked on it personally. I think it's just his company. I couldn't find any like references to him like personally working on it though, but it might just be like his company itself working on it. So he's personally worked on Shadow of the Tusk though. Like
one thing that I will say as kind of a criticism, this is something that I mean, maybe other people aren't bothered by it, but Shining Wisdom did this too, where the characters were like pre-rendered sprites, right? And they had that kind of like shiny 3D look to them, but they had this like black stroke, this thick black outline around them that kind of like sets them, I guess probably makes for like a higher contrast between them and the background. But it also is kind of off-putting. It just doesn't look good. As an artist, I would have gotten rid of that and just, trusted in good, good design of the characters to kind of, stand out against the background, better color choices and stuff. But it's weird. This has the exact same kind of effect where every sprite has like a very thick black border around it, and it's kind of jarring. I mean, it's just kind of like an eyesore.
They were going for like kind of an American comic art style.
Yeah,
clearly.
I see.
So
I can understand the reasons why they might argue, but I would argue that it doesn't work.
You still like it?
Yeah, like right here with the character portrait right there. Everything is nice and soft lines, but at the top where his hair is, thick black border, and because it's low resolution, it's like pixelated, and I just wouldn't have the blue hair. It has enough of a contrast that it would have stood out. You wouldn't really need that. Yeah, so it's just, to me, that's like one thing that I'm not a huge fan of with sprite work like this, is like you look at these little diamonds that they're collecting, or that are sitting there, and they have the big black border. I don't know, it's just one of those things that kind of looks kind of cheap to me. It did back in the day, and it still does, but that's just one of my own little niggling things that but other people might not care at all. I'm just saying.
No, I definitely know what you mean, though. It looks kind of like a weird like juxtaposition. Like some games did it okay.
Yeah, it's just jarring. It just it kind of makes
like they don't fit.
The graphics look a little too rough. And honestly, I like everything about, like, I like the texture work on the bricks here. I love the lava. I love the texture work on the ground. It's not overly repetitive. You can't see the seams. Everything about it is so well done. And then they put that black border on everything, and it makes them look like stickers. Thank you, Captain Haunted. It just makes them look like stickers, And that's the thing I don't like about it, from an artistic standpoint. But
yeah, honestly, what I could see that they were trying to go for is that comic style, like the thick like ink lines on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it just more comes off as sticker-ish looking.
But I mean, you can even see here the title screen, like his hair. It does have some contrast, a little bit of shading at the top, but it's not like ridiculously over the top, if it all had looked like that. But I don't think that's any reason why people would or wouldn't play the game. That is to say, it's just a criticism of my own. But I really need to try this game after Dan's talking. After you're talking about it and praising it a bit. For some reason, I've heard a lot of negative stuff about this game, on forums and stuff like that. So who knows? Maybe it's not nearly as bad as people.
I mean, Peter was saying that it has some really rough controls at points.
Yeah. What do you think?
I've not played it personally.
I think you have to make liberal use of the shoulder buttons for aiming, because this game, a lot of the combat is throwing boomerangs to attack, and it's when you're using the D-pad, it's 8 directions, right? So it can be kind of hard to line up your shot correctly if you're only using that. But if you're using the shoulder buttons, you can use a very fine grain rotation of the camera,
right?
And so that makes aiming a lot easier, and not just aiming to throw your boomerang, but also like lining up a jump or something. So I think you just have to kind of meet the game on its own terms a little bit, and learn how to control it. This was 1997, so people were still figuring out the best way to do 3D games. And like I said at the start of this segment, this is very 3D platformer-ish to me. I think it's just kind of this company's own take on what a 3D platformer could be. Weststones.
And when you consider the Saturn doesn't have many platformers, at least many 3D platformers, and this certainly isn't a 2D platformer. Yeah, so you're right.
No.
This qualifies, and it's one of the very few that we have. So it's all the more reason for folks to download it and play it.
I wanted to mention real quick, the Double Dime said in chat, it's not all spoken. So I guess the dialogue, just some of it. Lots of text. I didn't realize that. I guess I didn't get far enough to find
killer music,
unspoken text.
You said there's good music too.
But a translation is being worked on here. Now, what does that mean? Do you know something, Double Dime? Are you working on translation of this game? Are you announcing this?
Citation. We need a source.
Yeah, we do need a source. Who's doing this?
He's working on it.
Yeah, he's personally working on it. But yeah, it's
cover this. We need to story the site. Sorry, Pack.
I was going to say I'll try it out. I'm really excited to see how it's going to go. And said Rasputin is translating it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Wow. I hope that was not privileged information.
Well, now it's out in the world, everybody.
So Gregory is I don't remember if he said that. Like I can't remember, but okay.
I don't remember it either.
That's awesome. But, I'm gonna be harassing
looking
him
forward
for
to it.
Information, and maybe we'll do an article about.
We'll harass him every show. We'll have a harass Rasputin hour before the show starts.
Right.
Okay.
And we have the whole Discord. Adam. It's like where's Willy Wombat?
Yeah. Next up is the Saturn Mr. Core attempts to fix sound effects in bug. Wait, like a sound bug?
Yeah, sound bug.
And Panzer Dragoon. So take it away.
Big thanks to. Oh, sorry.
Big thanks to who?
Big thanks to Pudgy Bunny for making the banner image
Oh, nice.
in this one. Yeah, she's like helped me out on a few of my banners. She's pretty good at Photoshop.
There you
And
go.
I was like, "Hey, do you want to make this for me?" I was just like throwing things out there. I'm like, "Here's some art assets. Pick what you want, do what you want."
Yeah.
And so she kind of did this, but without the sound waves. So I'm like, "Well, the story is about like there were a lot of sound fixes in this patch in this new version of the course." So I'm like, can you get some kind of representation of sound, maybe like cartoony sound lines or something coming out of the mister? I don't know. And she found that cool sound wave graphic. I think it looks neat. It looks like the sound waves are going right into Bug's ears, even though he doesn't have ears. His antennae. But anyway, so yeah, I finally wrote about the Saturn core. It's been almost 3 months since I last wrote about the Saturn core. I know it feels like I write about it all the time, but it's actually been a while. I missed like 3 updates that happened in June, which I did mention briefly in my story at the bottom. I kind of listed them there. There was a lot of cool graphical improvements that developer SRG320 made, Sergei Dvodnenko. And but he did do a couple new updates to the Saturn Mister core last week. And they were mostly focused on improving the audio problems, some of the audio glitches and whatnot. And specifically, he was drilling down on Panzer Dragoon, Bug, and KO Flying Squadron 2. So my fellow SHIRO, Pat Trainoco, did do a little investigation and recorded some video of how the sound effects in Bug are specifically for picking up the crystals, but I mean, the fixes kind of affect all the sound effects.
Right.
How they sounded before the August updates, after the August updates, and how they sound on real hardware. And I edited the footage he sent me into a concise little minute 42 video here using Microsoft Clipchamp, by the way. I used Microsoft Clipchamp to do this.
Hey, it works.
And it's pretty easy. Yeah.
Whatever works.
It gets the dog. Yeah, but like what I found on there is that the sound, it wasn't right the first time, and before the August update, it was not only was it not the right sound, but it was some of them was not playing. So like you click and it just wouldn't sound in general. But after the new update, it's still not quite right. It seems like it's pitched a little bit too low, I think.
Yes, I noticed that too. That's why I put my
better.
Yeah, it's close. Like so it's not really missing sound effects anymore. And it does sound more like the actual sound effect in real hardware. It's just pitched wrong. Like all of the sound effects sound like they're pitched wrong now. They're too low. So he's got more work to do, basically, is what we're saying. And that's also illustrated by a test that a member of the official Mr. Discord server named Zet Sensei ran. And this test comes from someone who has a couple of audio-related Saturn projects on their GitHub. The person's name is Celery Acon, if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not. I'm sorry, but it's my best shot at it. Celery Acon. They provided a test of some of the functionality of the Saturn's SCSP to Zet Sensei, who ran these couple of tests. And I don't know if you are... you're showing it on the stream, Dave. So on the left, we have the results of the SCSP test on the current Saturn Mister core. On the right is the results of the test on a popular emulator, Midnafin. And as you can see, on the left, the Saturn Mister core is failing all but 3 of things being tested by the test. All but 3 things failed. In fact, it failed, and then the one at the bottom kind of failed so bad that it just didn't continue. While you see on the right, everything passes on Midnafin except for one thing. And it was able to do more tests in the test because things were passing. So, yeah, there's a lot left to do. It's a very interesting tool. I don't know how else it could be applied to anything else, but you can download it. It was uploaded to the Saturn Mister Core's GitHub under a particular issue related to Celery Acon's homebrew not really working correctly.
I think Celeriacon or Celeriacon.
Celeriacon? Okay, Celeriacon.
Or Celeriacon.
I believe I remember hearing that Project's origins were they captured a bunch of sounds from consoles and a spreadsheet thing, a spread they'll capture different audio things of that and then they compare it. It's really interesting. It's like a huge graph or something like that and they capture a bunch of sounds. I think the biggest one they want to focus on is getting it right for Genesis, because that sound chip is such a mess that like
Oh yeah.
it's like completely different on like different iterations, to the point where you can actually like on the core for Genesis can select the different like type of sound fonts. It's kind of interesting.
And the thing
and
with
kinda
Genesis
surprising.
is like everybody has like a specific, you know, certain people, depending on what Genesis they have a certain memory of what it should sound like, you know. Whereas with, like,
Yeah,
this,
because there are so many different like
right.
versions of the sound chip in the Genesis that like everyone's Genesis sounds unique, pretty much.
There's no technically right or wrong way per
Yeah.
se, because it really all just depends
Well,
on
I mean,
what you're
I know
trying
technically the
to.
wrong way is the Dreamcast collection of
Right.
Genesis. That's the wrong way.
Yes. Okay. But in the realm of real hardware, like even the Majesco one, you know, the third Genesis 3, you know, some people prefer that. Like, it has like a really sharp kind of like tinny, but some people prefer that. And then like the Genesis 2, I think, is what, like a little muffled or muddled. But that there were a lot of games, like if that's how you played Mortal Kombat, you kind of remember it sounding a little muffled, you know. And and then the Gen 1 is like that stereo port on the front, you know. I always think of that being the quintessential.
Yeah, it's like a little bassier. That's the Genesis that I grew up with, was the Genesis 1.
Same. Yeah.
Not the one without the TMSS
TMSS, right.
thing. Yeah, no, I had that. It wasn't like the very first Genesis. It was a little bit later, but yeah. So I did plug that stereo plug, you know, into like these two big speakers that my dad had down in the basement. So like I always had like awesome sound coming out of my Genesis.
Or just plugging in some headphones. Like a lot of times my mom would be like, put some headphones on because that thing's too loud, you know. So I was like more than happy to, because I got the stereo headphones, little volume rocker. Thing sounds amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, no, and it's just super interesting the way that they do that people interpret it differently, and how people prefer the sound of it. It's just kind of crazy to think about. And like personally, me, I like the Genesis 2, and then the Genesis high definition graphics version of that. It's probably my favorite iteration. But again, I think even that has different sound chips in that.
It yeah, there's different like configurations that kind of change it a little bit. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so this was kind of a tangent. I did want to mention real quick that to the August updates credit with the Saturn Administrator Core, while SHIRO did not test these games, the sound effects in KO Flying Squadron 2 seem to be fixed, according to Zet Sensei. And another user in the Mr. Discord, Van Fennell, said that Panzer Dragoon's audio has been corrected too. So I guess we just happened to test the one thing that like got sort of corrected, but isn't quite right yet. I guess Panzer Dragoon is sounding better, and so is KO Flying Squadron. So that's good. You know, SRG 320 is working on this in his spare time in Ukraine, and he is, you know, he's been making a ton of progress in the couple of years he's been working on it. So
yeah, it's amazing how far it came. Like the only real issue I have with it is that having an auto region is not working anymore. Like auto region just does not work. Like I say, okay, put in bugs, like, oh, the disk is not suitable for the system, so I have to switch.
Oh yeah, I saw that in the footage you sent me. Like you had to keep going back to the menu, and I cut this out and what I put on the WhatsApp. You had to keep going back to the menu and like changing your region back to USA.
Yeah, it was really weird. I don't know what's up with the auto region not working, but I guess that's another bug that's with it. But for the most part, it's been working fine. Besides, once you change the region, it's just that the region thing is kind of picky, and I've had trouble with that. I mean, it's not as picky as it was when I had it at at Game On Expo. I remember I could not get the region to work properly forever. Like some games just would not work, so I had to be like, okay, I'll take the L on it. But for the most part, though, it seems to be working a little bit better since the last update I had on it.
Are you bringing your Mister to Gamescom?
Yes, actually, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. Actually, I'll think about it. I haven't packed my bag yet.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start packing that. I'll see how much room I have. If it's like an easy thing, I might throw it in my my bag with me, like my my duffel bag or my backpack. We shall see.
Just thought I'd ask. Well, anyway, that's your Mister update. I'll try to write about it a little sooner next time, but instead of taking a 3-month break. But yeah, it's also kind of dependent. You don't have to zoom in on that. That's highly unnecessary. Dave, please. I'm right here. You don't
He's
need
doing
me
the head bob.
again.
There we go.
Anyway.
Do, 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 do.
Yeah, says Bunny posted in chat. If you haven't joined our Discord server, she put a link in chat. Please join us on the Discord server. We do talk about Saturn stuff, and usually all this stuff we talk about on the show gets talked about. Do you like how my eyebrows are groomed there, Dave? Are you admiring
He likes
them?
doing the
I love your
eye
eyebrows.
thing. I do that to
Okay,
Dave all the time
thanks.
on Facebook.
That was just fan service.
Fan service. Is there-
Wiener Bob.
You should
So,
see
Sweeter
Dave.
Bob loves seeing.
I mean, he
my
gave
eyebrows.
us a $1.99 or something like that. So I just figured
Yeah. Okay.
I'd
we
give
owe it.
him a little bit of eyes. Make
Fair
eyes
enough.
at
Eye
him.
shows. I see.
No feet though. Just eyebrows.
No
No, feet.
feet.
That's
Well,
my
yeah,
department.
that's-
I'll give you
that's-
feet pics.
That's
Dan
also you,
service.
Dan. Do you want to give us a pic with your feet?
No.
That really remains to be
Here, I'll
seen.
put my feet up to the camera right now.
$50 a month on the Patreon. You get to see my feet.
Exactly. Don't do that. They'll actually do that probably.
Oh my god.
We just
You
got
don't
we just
wanna joke
opened
with
a
that.
new Only Dan's account.
Yeah. Only Dan's. $100 a month. You get the bathwater.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
People on the internet, man. Yeah,
So,
you don't want to joke around
right?
with that because they
No,
will.
you really
they will
don't.
pay that money. Like, hey,
They
can I
will
get the
take
feet
you
pics?
up on it.
That's scary.
They'll be like, okay,
So-
so yeah, we have patrons and we are gonna read them.
Mhm.
We've
Feet of the
got-
week, baby.
We have got A Murder of Crows, Casual Seth, Cerulean, Chris Piper, Chris 1997 XX, Daniel Fredrickson, David Zaney, Derek Pascarella, A-Team, Emerald Nova, Evo 42, Fat Drunk Friend Otaku, Gem Clasher Rank, Ian Keg, Jay Hersey, Johannes Fetz, Lion Wing Publishing, Memphis, Normal Guy, Nutrageous, Robert Ramsey, Rowan Dinked, Sega Steve, Stoneman, The Sega Guys, Wafflekins, and Young Money Sui, also known as Jung Rhythm Sui. And we thank you all for supporting us
Yes.
at the
Thank
$10
you.
and up level. Really appreciate that. I don't have to go out of pocket for Shiro. Like I haven't gone out of pocket in the last like 3 years because of you guys. So that
It's been
was
nice.
I mean, I didn't mind. I loved Shiro and I didn't mind going out of pocket, but it's so much nicer now and my wife is happier. And it's all
Happier,
because
yeah.
of you guys. So, and we get to go to PRGE and put on this cool Sega room. It's going to be a blast. We hope some folks come out with us and hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And Pat's going to Gamescom and going to schmooze it with the Germans. And
Mhm.
Exactly. I'll be doing some stuff. I'm hoping I'll be able to go to yeah, only on the pocket spot. To be fair though, I didn't want to like the flights for Germany. I just didn't feel good.
oh yeah,
putting all
you
that money on the
halvesies.
Shiro
You went
account.
halvesies. That
Yeah, I did not want to do that.
We're not that big.
kinda-
We're not that big
yeah.
yet.
Yeah, the flights to Germany are outrageous. I didn't want to.
But
I
still,
didn't wanna be that
I
dude.
mean, the contributions everyone's made has made a big difference. It really has. Thank you, Wiener Bob, for another $1.99 budget or buttery covering up a fart with a cough. Oh, that's just really clever. Like I'm gonna say that
I
that is
cover, I
budget.
cover my
That's
fart
budget.
with a cough. Cover up my cough with a fart.
That's budget, but it's still clever.
Jeez.
The fart. Me, I just own them. I'm just like, that's me. Clear the room.
There you go.
Nothing bad about beefing.
Yeah. But yeah, so what else?
Kind of have to sneeze with a P.
I don't know how to follow
Okay.
that up. Well, we love all you guys. Thanks for watching the show. If you can't afford to support us financially, no problem. Please become a part of our Discord. Join the Discord, become a part of the conversation. You'll know so much about Saturn, and you'll know also so much about what's going on in the community just by joining the Discord. It's nice to be able to hit up the show once a week. But I mean, during the week, there's a ton of conversation and a ton of updates and stuff going on, really exciting stuff.
That's
So if
going.
you're
And
part
you
of the
can join the community challenges too when we're having
Community
them. You're on the
challenge,
Discord because that's where
online
we run them.
tournaments, online tournaments, netlink matchups,
Early content from the
Any-
Sega guys. Early content from Pandemonium.
Pandemonium
True, too.
content, Sega Guys content. Every once in a while, we actually post something. There, I did, and yeah, early access to the editors' corners and the mainline cast if we ever record another one of those.
Eventually.
But yeah, eventually we'll get there. But yeah, until next time, this has been Saturn Dave, Danthrax, and Trainoco off there in the distance,
No.
reminding you that you must play Sega Saturn.
You must.
Sega Saturn or else.
Play it.
We'll catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.
セガサターンしろ